I'm sorry for the shitty ass lighting, guys. My lighting in here isn't all that great at night. Um, there's something I've been meaning to share with you for a couple of days now, and it's from Into the Fringe, which I'm in places that I kind of remember reading, but it was just really hard to concentrate, as I have covered before, because I don't do well with ebooks. There's this thing that's come up. I've actually had people say this to me in recent times, and it has to do with disclosure in regards to seeing things on the television and how aliens are everywhere. Outside of the fact that aliens, like, Megamind and Klingons or whatever, outside of the fact that they're popular, and let's face it, TV shows like their ratings, because that's how they get money. Um, People have been saying that this is also to acclimate us and get us to the idea, because there's going to be disclosure, don't you know? The aliens are going to, I don't know, it's no longer going to be hidden now. There's a thing in here on Into the Fringe about that, and let me go real quick to when this book was published. Double check my years here. 1992. So people still believe this, okay? And this is a reading out of Into the Fringe. I'm going to go back a little bit, okay? There were the classic cases of ufology, available in any number of books with which we soon were familiar. Mantell, The Hills, Pascagoula, Moody, Coyne, Travis Walton. And there were the standard skeptical explanations that had been put forward for years, which under any scrutiny proved very often to be impossible solutions. There were the peripheral issues, cattle mutilations, and Bigfoot sightings that were rumored to be closely associated with UFO activity. We knew nothing about these things from our own knowledge, so they were relegated to the rumors file. By now, this mass of material included stories of secret U.S. Russian bases on the moon and Mars, blonde-haired space brethren from the Pleiades, a star cluster in the constellation Taurus, made famous by the story of Swiss farmer Billy Meyer, to whom they allegedly imparted cosmic knowledge of their work to assist our spiritual evolution, channeled pronouncements by various extraterrestrials of the Galactic Federation about the shifting of the global axis, and secret U.S. alien underground bases throughout the country, the products of our government's illegal treaties and arrangements with the leaders of some alien nation whose ultimate goal is total control of our world. These were things we heard about and read about, all at rather are far removed from our own mysterious experiences. But there was one rumor, at least, which was more available for us to check out, and our findings were disturbing. Part of the U.S. Alien Alliance story says that there has been a falling out between us and them. As a result, and faced with the imminent mass confrontation between aliens and humanity, the government is now working feverishly in two directions. On the one hand, an immense effort is underway to develop superweaponry capable of defending us against alien technology. The aliens had promised early on to give us their technical expertise, but they had reneged. And the second effort is the rapid education of the public through the media about the coming alien presence. Apparently, the rumor says, the aliens who are here now are just the forerunners for a much larger group, and that group's arrival is expected within the next 4 years. The government hopes to avoid worldwide panic by preparing us through advertising and the entertainment media for our encounter with alien beings. Thinking back over the past 2 years, you know, we began to see that there had indeed been an upsurge in UFO-related interest. The Gulf Breeze sightings got wide television coverage. Stryber's book was a bestseller, as were Hopkins' 2 accounts of abduction experiences. Abduction researchers and victims had been interviewed on all the talk shows and on a few primetime programs. Oprah Winfrey, Phil Donahue, Gary Collins, even Morton Downey Jr. presented to Bud Hopkins. Whitley Strieber, Bruce McBee, Stanton Friedman, and many other researchers to the public. Unsolved Mysteries devoted over half a show to the abduction phenomenon, and Ross Schaefer's Late Show gave it the entire hour. There had even been a 1-hour pilot movie in July, Why on Earth, which, strangely enough, had as its premise a joint U.S. alien secret base from which an idealistic young alien agent would make forays into the bewilderingly irrational world of humans. And then there were the alien movies in the works, not to mention the classic E.T. stories of past decades when, rumors tell us, the government felt more kindly disposed toward our alien allies and wanted us to view them with affection. When the rift took place, a shootout of sorts at an underground base in which the humans got the worst of it all, the government attitude changed and we were presented malevolent Reptilian Aliens in the miniseries V, and now we had a new series, War of the Worlds, which we watched anxiously each week. In every episode, we saw some fact or detail which we recognized from actual cases, mixed in with the more creative aspects of the show, and as we watched, we did feel as if a deliberate effort were being made to acquaint the public with at least part of the truth. The thought that we were being prepared by the media so that we would not panic is a very prevalent theory, and I can certainly see the foundation of it. But I ask you to please consider a more cynical point of view at this point. I bear in mind that aliens are money. Let's face it, Star Trek is big business. The franchise brings in a lot of money. There's Babylon 5 was really popular. Megamind is like one of my favorite movies of all time. Because let's face it, entertainment industry wants you to tune in, which means they have this formula that they have discovered works. I remember whenever it was like becoming a big deal about that, and they know what attracts audiences, and they're going to go with it. And that's why the aliens that we see have a certain formula to them, and they all have like the same idiosyncrasies or whatever. So we're going to take that money-making entertainment part, we're going to put it aside now, because we know that the entertainment industry is no longer just about that, okay? So now we look at what's left. The fact that the entertainment industry is also being used to program us, okay? And as this states, it also is being used to, I think the proper word is desensitization. In other words, get us used to the idea. We're no longer sensitive to it. In this book, I actually found it really amusing that when Miss Turner and her husband and a friend of hers saw drawings of aliens that they were encounters with, they shouted and were upset and reacted to this in a very emotional way. I mean, I don't see that anymore. I've never heard of it anymore. And people just kind of look and point, yeah, that's that, that's that. And if they do remember it, the reactions aren't as extreme as they were in 1988, which is when a good bulk of this story happened. So there is your desensitization. But it is now 2016, and the aliens have not landed on the White House lawn, you know, publicly for us to see on national news yet. Nobody has stepped forward, you know, from the White House. I am the ambassador, you know, on the great station in that direction or whatever. The idea is so commonplace now. When you do a poll, it turns out that a greater and greater amount of people in America believe in aliens and UFOs these days, and the number increases every year, and the sightings increase. But the fear and excitement is dying down, and now what we have are a lot of attention seekers, because it's now in vogue to some extent in some circles to have been abducted or whatever. And I'm not saying that there aren't people out there needing help. I am not discounting that. So much as it has become another money-making business and another entertainment facet. And just trying to dig into that, I have learned the hard way, will actually hold you down. So we have this thing where we are indeed desensitized, but disclosure still has not happened. These aliens still have not, you know, well, they are doing it, just, you know, because the desensitization coupled with the other parts of the media comes into play. And here's where people are forgetting the other parts of the media. So I am going to remind you, and you've heard me rant about this before. The media is being used to teach us that Big Brother is what we want. For example, I forget the name of the show, but the whole show, every episode was, everybody was thanking God that there were cameras on every corner, or they wouldn't have been able to catch that thief. And it's kind of interesting how they wouldn't have been able to catch that thief where 30 years ago on TV they still caught the thieves, but everything's about Big Brother now. There's no privacy, and the media is being used to teach the next generation, and even the more gullible of us that watch shows and don't pay attention, that hey, this is a good thing that you don't have privacy, because don't you want to be secure? There are a lot of concepts in media about constant martial law and even less freedoms, and the media is teaching us that these are not human rights. They are privileges that we do not deserve unless we are part of the elite. And people are actually buying into it. I mean, we've got a man running for president who's never even read the Constitution, but the media's got him trumped up. So, so take all that into account and other factors that I can't really think of off the top of my head. What we've got instead is a media that has desensitized us to the reality of the aliens and taught us that it's not a big deal. It's nothing to be upset about what's going on, and it's easier to ridicule people who come forward now. Like when I first started learning about reptilians, for example. Okay, we'll go back to my archaeology career even for that. I had absolutely no idea what aliens were, but somebody somewhere had told people that I was involved with aliens, and it was all over the college where I was going to school, and I had no idea people were making fun of me because I had no clue what they were talking about. But when I went on the job, my first week on the job as an actually digging in the field, the team, one of the girls actually went to my college and knew who I was. So they're out there talking about how they're hunting for the mothership, and I had no idea they were making fun of me. I figured it out later. Okay, and that's a prime example of how this works. It's easier to ridicule people you even suspect might be into the phenomenon. When I was first trying to learn about reptilians and looking at information about reptilians on the internet, I found a website that was making fun of the people and stating that obviously everyone who claims they saw a reptilian had watched the original Land of the Lost and were mistaking reptilians for memories of the Sleestack. Remember the Sleestack? So I don't think that the media is being used to desensitize us to this big event that's going to happen. I think it was being used to get us to herd ourselves to keep each other in control. Taking the theology hierarchy aside, where if you hunt for truth, you're going to raise up in ranks because, let's face it, we're in a technocracy. But there are elements that do not want us to know the truth. And for a while, they did things to stop us. They knocked on our door, they sent men in black, whatever. And now they use other means to stop us. I have been stopped. Each time I was stopped when I started to really soar was through peer pressure. Where are we getting the peer pressure from as far as the media concerned? Everybody who sees it and then looks at somebody who actually has experienced it and decides they're crazy because they must have watched Land of the Lost or some movie and they're dreaming it. It's just an alternative point of view on this situation that apparently people still think is going on. Because when I look at the past, since 1988 when this is happening, and I remember those years because there are things they're talking about in this book that I actually remember and stopped shortly after 88, and I'm wanting to get a hold of their research because what else is there, because no one talks about those things anymore. What I'm saying is the belief that the media is a tool to get us prepared is one way of looking at it, but mixing everything else, I just added and look again and then see how you feel.